This is Laricy Live, and I'm your host, Matt Laricy. We're giving you unfiltered access to the world of real estate, where we can cover the market trends, news, and honest answers to keep you ahead of the real estate game. Laricy Live is brought to you by Lincoln Title. Lincoln Title is the best and most efficient title company in Chicago and is the best place to close your property. This podcast is brought to you by Titan Builders. Titan Builders have been remodeling condos and homes in the Chicagoland area for over 35 years. Whether it's remodeling your kitchen or bathroom or getting your home ready for sale, Mike and Mark are your go-to guys. Laricy Live is brought to you by Guaranteed Rate and Ben Cohen. Ben Cohen is the #1 lender in Illinois and can close your loan in as fast as 8 days. Today, we are talking about one of the biggest things that happen every year. It's something that people don't understand. They cannot wrap their minds around, but it is one of the biggest trends that happen every year. You got it. It's summertime, right? It's right after Labor Day. No, Memorial Day. I always mix Memorial Day and Labor Day up. You know how I realized what to do? Somebody taught me this. Maybe somebody else can benefit from this. Memorial Day is in May, 2 M's, right? I used to always mix up a Memorial Day and Labor Day. I don't know why. Probably because I got a 20 on my ACT. I'm not a smart guy. But once I learned that Memorial Day was May, and that's how you remembered, is the 2 M's. Always now, although I just said it on this podcast, I was wrong. But anyways, now the Memorial Day is done. It's the unofficial kickoff of summer, which means the summer market begins. A lot of people think that summer market is the hottest market. Shout out to Fox News who had me on talking about this. And I said, hey guys, guess what? Summer market is not the hottest market. What this kicks off after Memorial Day is what we call the summer shift. We are shifting gears. Imagine we're cruising down the highway going 100 miles per hour and shift that bad boy down, and now we're going 80. That's exactly what's about to happen. Now, there's many reasons why this summer shift happens. But, a lot of people ask me, what is the summer shift? The shift is where we go from a hardcore batshit, money doesn't matter, comps doesn't matter, the market's as crazy as you could ever think, just nuts, like crazy-land, to all of a sudden, like, people are kind of like, well, it's not that busy, right? Like, this is my favorite thing that happens in the summer shift. Is like, if you get there early, which, sorry if 10 agents that are watching this, I'm historically late. But if you get there early and your client's not there yet, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if people try to impress you people, but like people always ask, how's it going? And I'm like, I don't know. It's okay. And like, hey, you busy? You busy? Hey, look at me. You busy? And you're just like, I always say, like, I'm just trying to keep up with somebody else. I don't even know, like, how do you answer that? It's like such a stupid question, but everybody. It's like how you get in the elevator with people and people are like, hey, what do you think about the weather? And you're like, I don't know, it's the weather. It's just like what happens in Chicago, like with realtors. You meet another realtor. It doesn't, you can be anywhere in the land. They'll be like, hey, you busy? It's just, I'm like, it's so stupid. You busy? Like, what do you say that? Anyways, that's what people say. And then all of a sudden, and people are cocky about it in the springtime. Like, oh my God, I'm so busy. I can't believe how busy I am. I'm just so busy. I'm busy, right? That's the spring. Then all of a sudden, you see these people in like June, and people are like, hey, are you busy? And I'm like, oh, I'm keeping up with everybody else. Like, hey, things really slowed down. Like the water turned off. What do you think happened? Hey, are you still so busy? Because I'm not that busy anymore. So you go from this cocky busy to this not so cocky busy. And I always tell people, well, guess what it is? It's the summer shift. The summer shift has begun. This is where we lose 50% of the demand. So what is the summer shift? We lose 50% of demand. At the same time, we gain 50% more inventory, okay? So you lose half the buyers and you gain half the inventory, okay? The reason this is, Chicago is the most rent-heavy city in the country. Leases come due end of March, April, May, first part of June. June 1st, people decided to buy or rent by then. I talk about this almost every podcast, okay? You should know this by now. And at June 1st, all of a sudden at the same time, sellers are like, hey, look at this weather. Look at those trees. Let's get this bad boy on the marketplace. Let's go, right? Let's list it. So you all of a sudden start gaining more inventory. And so inventory starts to build, demand starts to drop, and guess what happens? Inventory starts to stick. And the more that the inventory sticks, the longer the market time goes. The longer the market time goes, the more buyers think, well, hey, something's happening in the marketplace. Prices start to soften up a little bit. Okay, so places that take a day to sell in February may take a week in July. A place that took a week in March may take a month in July. So there's a big difference. You know, here's a big one. Showings, right? I tell this to the girls, Gretchen and Miranda, about showings. All of a sudden in February, March, these guys, they only got one place to see in a week. One place. Huh? What's been happening this morning there? Huh? Big guy? Big Gretch? Yeah, she's got 100 emails. Here's what happens. Buyers just keep sending over, hey, here's 15 I want to see. Hey, another 15 popped up. Hey, 10 more came on. Hey, look at these 7. Hey, here's 7 more. Here's 9 more. Here's 15 more. Here's a list of 100 properties. And then people are like, holy cow, there's so many options. That's literally what's happened so far this week. That's not a joke. That is legitimately every buyer I have is nonstop sending 10 to 20 properties. People haven't seen 10 or 20 properties total January to April. Total. Why is that? Summer shift. Summer shift. You're seeing all this new inventory hit, and it's sticking. You know, and here's the thing. In the spring markets, everybody does this little trick. Hey, Friday hour open house, Saturday. Everybody out there, by the way, is copied off my 90-minute open houses. That was my idea first, okay, because I didn't want to do 2 hours. That was just waste time. Now everybody does 2 hour, 90 Saturday, 90 Sunday. Highest and best, either Sunday at 6 or Monday at 12. But that's everybody in the marketplace. And then all of a sudden, what you're going to start to see during the summer shift, you're going to start seeing people being like, we won't wait till February because we won't wait till Friday. We're just going to get on the market because we don't know legitimately if we're sell or not, right? So we just got to have showings as they come in. And that's all part of the summer shift. See, if you have less demand and you have double the inventory, okay, supply and demand, again, I've talked about this numerous times. I've gotten C's and D's in college. I'm not a smart guy, but from what I've read, excess supply, less demand, prices come down. And that's what happens. So that's what we're at the beginning at. We're at the very beginning of the summer shift. And this summer shift is going to hit. It's going to hit hard. Everybody is going to be affected by it. It's going to change things up entirely. So be prepared for it. Why does inventory stick longer? Here's why. There's more options. In February, if something comes up, people want to look at it. They want to look at that day, and it sells that day. And then there's nothing else on, and for another 5 days, then that one comes on, it sells, and then, you know, everybody kind of waits in the weeds. It's kind of like a lion waiting in the weeds. They're kind of looking through, seeing what happens. Gazelle comes, boom, everybody goes for it. One guy gets the prize, and everybody else goes back to the weeds and waits for another one. But then all of a sudden, after Memorial Day, we hit the summer shift. Inventory hits the market. You're like, oh my God, I like this one. I want to buy it. You get back in the car. You're like, hey, Matt, I think we're going to make an offer. I'm like, perfect. We get to the next place, pull up to that next destination, get out of the car. They were, by the way, if you're in the car, somebody sit up front. We don't need both people in the back. You know what I mean? Like one person in the front, two in the back, all right? But we get there, and whoever's in the back's on Zen list, and we get out of the car, like, hey, what do you think about this one? And, like, it's always, like, sticks the phone right in my face. Like, all right, just, like, back up, okay? Back up. What do I think, like, I can't see that well because I'm older now. And I'm like, which property is this? I'm like, oh, yeah, that one's pretty good. Like, all right, can we see this tomorrow? I was like, okay, so no offer on the other place. Like, no offer on the other place. Let's see this one tomorrow. And if this was February, they'd be like, we'd get in the car. I'd be, texting the girls. Be like, hey, like, let's get an offer going. They want to send this out. Like a big thing I always brag about is like the staff we have here is great, and they can have an offer in your inbox before you guys get home. And then we do that. But we don't do that in the summer because like there's no need to, because we got more. We end up adding more units while on tour for the next day than we do at the tour. And somebody out there's like, my buyers don't do that. Yeah, I'm sure they don't. Represent like the most buyers like in the state. Like we see it happen all the time. It's just what sparks up. And the reason, and this is why inventory sticks, is because there's just so many options. There's no urgency as much, okay? So if you don't have as much urgency, you're not like rushing to buy the place. And if you're not rushing to buy the place, that means that you're going to see like these things kind of sit on the market for a little bit longer. But guess what? As those ones start to stick and that market time starts to build, guess what happens? More inventory hits the market. So it's just like, it's kind of like you're at war and the troops just keep coming. And like you knock down like the first 5 months, you're holding the line. Like you're able to take these down, but at a certain point, there's just so many of them that just keep coming at you that they just take over, and then they just start sticking longer, And the longer they stick, the more inventory that comes on the market. The more inventory that comes on, the more inventory builds. The more inventory builds, the more people get panicked about the market. The more people get panicked about the market, the more prices start to drop. More prices start to drop. People start thinking the market's going to fail, and that's what happens in the fall. So it's the same trend that happens every year, right? So we're at the beginning of the summer shift. So when somebody out there is like, hey, Matt, I think the market's going to fail because I see inventory sitting for longer. It's like, no, this is what happens every year. But take this clip right here. Clip it. To our American girls, clip this clip right here so we could say this. Inventory is going to build right now. This is what happens. So I could post this in like September when people are like, oh, what happened? Like, this is what happens. What about summer buyers? What's the difference between summer buyers and spring buyers? It's pool season. So let's compare it to a pool. Spring buyers. You open that pool up, spring buyers are jumping in. They're fearless. They're not asking. They're not like Mickey. What's the temperature? Is it 82 degrees? I only get in 82. Mickey will only get in a pool if it's 82 or above, nothing less. Very bougie, okay? Spring buyers, they're not like Mickey. They will just jump right in that pool, fearless. They don't care. They don't care about their trunks, what they're wearing. They're just getting in there. So spring buyers, they're jumping in the pool. They don't care about the temperature. They're just getting in. Summer buyers, pool gets opened up. They get their bathing suits on. They start kind of complaining a little bit. They're like, what's that temperature like? What's the temp? They're like, Mickey, is it 82? Oh, it's not 82. I'll sit back. I'll wait. Then they dip their toes in the water. They're like, okay, it's up to my temperature. I'm going to jump in. That's how they are. Fall buyers, they see the pool. It gets open. They get dressed. They tell everybody they're getting in the pool. They're like, I'm getting in. They get the sunscreen on. They bring out all the pool toys. They walk around the pool a bunch. Put their toe in the water. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go in this year. I'll wait till next year. So that's the differences. That's how the buyers act, okay? So summer buyers, a little bit more cautious, a little bit more bougie. They want to see more options. They want to see stuff. I'm not knocking them. And somebody out there is like, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying this is what they are. It's like it's like I'm a scientist in the forest. I've studied the creatures for so long, I know what's going to happen. I know how they're going to act. I can anticipate their actions before they do them. So when I get when we have the most listings in the city, and people are like, oh, these buyers are first starting off, and like everybody's there like gets excited. It's like, they'll need a few weeks till they come back. They need to go hunting a little bit longer. Whereas in the spring, first time out, people can buy. So that's just the difference. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying this is the summer market, and this is what happens every year. And the more that you understand what happens in the summer market, the easier you as a consumer can understand where it's going to go. And I think the more educated you are, the easier this gets. So summer buyers, more cautious than spring buyers. More inventory will come in the market. Prices will soften a little bit. You'll have more options. That's it. The other thing is like, guess what happens this summer? Travel. People go away. So when people say, well, Matt, it doesn't seem like we have as many showings. So to all my sellers out there, like, we don't have as many showings. Guess what? We have more showings on weekdays than we do on weekends, okay? And one of my sellers asked me like, oh my God, we're getting no showings on weekends. You're terrible at your job. What are you doing? I'm like, okay, Mr. Seller, where were you this weekend? Like, we opened up the house in Michigan. Oh, you got a house in Michigan? Yeah. Okay, so you just opened it up once. You're never going back there? No, we'll go back there again. Oh, you will? Okay. Where do you think all the buyers are? You think any of those guys got Michigan or Wisconsin or Indiana or Iowa or what? I don't know where people have lake houses, wherever you got them. People go there. Guess what else it is? It's wedding season. I can't tell, especially people under 40 or 45, like they get a wedding like every weekend. Guess what else comes with wedding season? Bachelor parties, bachelorette parties. They're out of town. Nowadays, people do these like week-long parties for people's bachelorette season. We've talked about this before. They're going on those. They're going on trips with their friends. They're going to Florida for the week. People who are like very well off are going to Europe for a month, right? People got kids. Guess what kids have? They have sports. Got to take them to camp. Got a tournament this weekend and somewhere else. People are busy. One thing I always prove my point with, especially with sellers that are out there watching this, being like, well, why do you have more showings on weekdays and weekends? I'm like, pull up your calendar. Tell me how many times this summer you're in town this weekend. So this is what I always tell people. I joke around with all my clients, like, hey, just out of curiosity, how many times are you in town this summer in Chicago? Out of June, July, and August, look at your calendars. That's 4, 8, 12 weeks. Out of 12 weeks, how many times you're in town? My average answer right now is 3. That's what I'm getting from people, 3. That's how many times they're in town, 3 times. So what do you think that means? If the average person I've talked to so far is in town in Chicago 3 weekends out of the 12, what do you think other people are? And then here's the other thing. This is what people forget. Those 3 times are in town, right? Saturday, 9 a.m., we got a 10:30 tour. It's 9 a.m., sun shining. Let's remember, guys, it rains a lot in Chicago. Sun shining, 95 degrees outside. Chicago's just looking beautiful. Energy's going, the vibe's great in the city. People are out and about. They're enjoying life. Got a 10:30 tour. Guy gets a call from his buddy. Yo, bro, guess what? What? Got a sick yacht. Just got it. Got it, loaded up with alcohol. Bunch of people. Everybody's coming. Boat leaves at 11. You want to come? Guy's like, crap. I got to look at 6 properties with this idiot loser realtor, Laricy. I don't need to buy today. I could probably cancel and see those Tuesday. I'm free Tuesday. Tuesday looks like a light work day. Let's cancel Saturday. They cancel on me. We recollect on Tuesdays. You think that doesn't happen? We get more last minute cancellations on Saturdays and Sundays over the summer than I see all year. It drives us absolutely nuts, like absolutely insane because of this. And then guess what? The weekends it rains, we get the most last minute showing requests because everybody's plans cancel. They're not going to the Cubs game this weekend. They're not doing this. So, just note that you're going to expect to see more showings on weekdays and weekends. And somebody out there's going to be like, oh, my clients don't act like that. Or you're a buyer out there like, I don't act like that. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Call me at 10 o'clock on a Saturday once your buddy got the boat or whatever cool thing you got planned because the weather's beautiful. You tell me if you're going to go out. I live in the real world. I deal with real people. I deal with things that actually happen in real life. I'm not hating on it. I'm not saying you're bad for it. I mean, heck, if I had a job where I didn't have to work weekends and I had a good friend and I enjoyed social life and that happened to me, I'd probably cancel too. Like, what do I care about this guy in a suit and tie, right? So, my point is I'm not knocking it. I'm saying for people out there, when you're looking at expectations of what does this summer shift entail, this is a big thing that happens. Remember this. Mark my words. You will see more showings on weekdays than weekends. Peak showings are normally Wednesday, Thursday because it's right before they go out of town. And that's why, people who do first showings Fridays start doing first showings Thursdays because Friday everybody's out of town. You won't get anybody coming to Friday showings. Nobody comes to Friday showing blocks. It's a nice blonde roast here. It's pretty good. It has. I started off this. I was like, this isn't that good, but it's pretty. Everybody out there, it's my first cup of coffee. It's about 10 something this morning. Been up since 4:30ish, and I got to tell you, I didn't have any coffee. I was getting pretty crabby, and feeling a lot better. What else we got here? So who is buying in the summer? That's a big question too. People are like, well, in the summer shift, what happens? It's like, well, we only have 50% of demand. So who are some of the buyers? Number one, empty nesters and in-town buyers are 2 huge type of buyers. So empty nesters are people selling the properties in the suburbs and buying downtown, or in-town buyers, as I like to dub them, the elusive tourist buyer, right? These are the people who are at Navy Pier eating a hot dog, drinking a beer, and they look up and they say, hey, what's that building? Anybody know? What's that building right by Navy Pier? We get the most last-minute requests in the summer out of any building in the city. Anybody out there? There we go. Lake Point Towers. LPT, baby. It's the highest last-minute showings that we get out of any property in the summer. And Marina Tower is the second album. You can actually hear it happen. Like they will call, and you can hear the people in the background, like the boats in the background, like, everybody exit the boat on the left side. Exit on the left side. And then they're like, hello? Yeah, no, we're super serious. We want to get into, what is that? The big black one that's right by, Navy Pier? Like right by where did the bus drop us off? Right where the bus dropped us off. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Can we get it? Well, we could get in 10 minutes. Babe, we got time? Yeah, we got 10 minutes. We got a little tour thing going on, but we could be there in 10 minutes. The tourist buyer. I'll tell you, tourist buyers can drive you a little crazy because that's what happens. If you think that doesn't happen, I'll tell you, I don't know. I haven't had a Saturday or Sunday go by yet in the summer where a call like that. And somebody out there's gonna be like, that's dramatic. I promise you, there has not been a single summer since I've gotten successful in this business where I haven't had at least one of those calls every single Saturday and every single Sunday. A minimum one call like that where they got to get into Lake Point Tower, Marina Towers, or the Trump. It's those 3. You can hear them. They're at brunch. the waiter comes up. It's like, oh, would you guys, excuse me, sir, would you like another mimosa? And they're like, I'll have another mimosa. Sorry, I'm at brunch. It's a business brunch. They always like correct themselves really quick too, like just so like they know that they think you're serious. It's a business lunch, and you hear the kids in the background like, Mom, are we gonna go to the museum? You know, and it's just like, but they gotta get into like the studio. And you meet them, and they're in like their like beach gear, and like, yeah, they get their coolers. The best is when they show up. They literally show up with like the Illuminati's pizza bag, you know, and like a brand new spanking Chicago hat, like, you know, when we were established. And like you see them, you're just like, oh, gosh, ugh. I know this is just a waste, you know. And then they're asking like, so like, what's it like, you know? The worst is you get on the elevator and they just look at you like, so we're not buying. I know I told you we were serious, but we're not. And you know, so it's like, and like, hey, listen. I'm not hating on it again. I'm just saying this is what happens in the summertime. It's just part of the summer shift that you deal with. You do see a lot more tourist buyers, okay? And I will say 10% of the tourist buyers buy and 90% don't. But much like a high, we do it because we chase that 10%, you know? And if we get 2 calls a minimum a weekend that are complete waste of times, you know, over a summer period, that'll equate to a couple sales. And honestly, some of them are pretty darn big sales. We've sold a couple multi-million-dollar properties that way. So, you know, I'm also a glutton for punishment. You know, I'll just take it. And I like to joke about it. We have fun with it. We know it can be a waste of time, but some of our best clients have come from it. So we'll do it. 10% of the time it's successful. 90% of the time it's cringeworthy, embarrassing, because sometimes you're meeting other agents. And guess what? That's part of the business. It's sales. You can't feel it. If you can't laugh about it later on and have fun with it, then I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, so when you ask me who are some of the biggest buyers, tourist buyers, or empty nester buyers, we see, I don't know what it is, but we see a lot of people get transferred in the summertime. So I feel like I get a lot of people who, and I don't think it's like people who randomly call us that just got transferred, but we get a lot of people who call us in the spring and say that they're going to start looking this summer because they're going to be in their jobs like August, September. So like we get them like locked into July and August. So that's a big one. And then the other biggest, probably actually the biggest one, are what I call my punted buyers. My punted buyers are buyers who wanted a little bit of a better, like they don't want to pay above sticker price, okay? So they don't want to go above market. Or they were just frustrated with multiple bids. So I say, hey, listen, you got an April lease, right? It's like, yeah, I got an April lease. I'm like, okay, make it an August lease. And let's start looking in June. And people are like, I don't think it's going to happen. And like every buyer we're going out with right now are people who are looking in March and April that took like a month or 2 month hiatus, and now they're back at it. And like, wow, there's so many options. Like, oh my God, who would have thought that, right? This never happens, you know? But that's just what it is. These are all things that happen in the summer shift, okay? And these are all things that we can anticipate to happen. We can also anticipate to happen is more showings on your listings. So sellers out there, just note that you're going to get more showings on your listings before you get an offer. So in the springtime, we can do 1 block of showing, okay? Highest and best, done that day. In the summer, it'll sit on for a month. You may show it 50 times before it sells, okay? What about the downtown markets? Downtown markets have been getting crushed, demolished. All these things I've been talking about, like how crazy it is, hasn't happened for you, huh? Anybody that I have here that's like, you're talking about, and I get this all the time from my sellers, I listen to your podcast, and like, you're talking about how hot the market is, but we're not getting it. So let's not forget. The downtown market is like terrible, just like atrociously bad. I know some agents out there's like, I sold my place in 1 day. Great, dude. I got some listings in the high rises too. I sell in a day. Okay, like we all have those. I always talk about people like when we look at a market, we have to look at it as a whole, not how good you're doing, not how good one listing did. We got to talk about like how did all the listings do? Okay, all of them as a whole. As a whole, the high rise market sucks. Okay, and you just look at the market time, the amount of inventory, etc. But honestly, in May till August, we tend to see the high-rise market perform pretty well because you have so many empty nester and in-town buyers, right? You got people coming back to the city, and that's what makes people more excited about this time. People get nervous about tickets. Yeah, Gretchen came in today with a fake red ticket. Almost gave me a heart attack. But like, so for the downtown people, just note that like you are going to see more activity, and we tend to see things do a little bit better in the downtown markets at this time of year because of those factors. What do I think? When do I think the shift's going to end? The shift ends on Labor Day. Then we hit the fall market, you know. A big trend we're going to see is the price drops, which I'm going to do a whole podcast talking about the price cuts and how price goes. So I don't want to ruin it, but just note, for all the buyers out there, it's like, oh, I think the market's this. I know we're going to see this, like, oh, the rates went up, the prices are coming down. I think the market's going to crash. This is going to be a new one. I can't wait for these buyers. They're going to come because it's always the chicken little syndrome. They start in September, but some of these buyers, you know, rates spiked a little bit because the bond market went up, you know, now came down. Stock market, Mickey, how's the stock market performing? It's flat. You know, it's been up and down. You know, Mickey's our local financial expert. He calls like all the guys all day at the financial markets. But like, you know, we're going to start having people start talking about well, the market's going to drop, et cetera. But the reality is that like, this is what happens every summer. Market softens out a little bit. You go from 10 to an 8. We'll talk about how pricing structure works in our next podcast. That is literally our next podcast is talking about the price cuts. But for now, just note the summer shift will last from now till Labor Day. And where do I think the market will be as a whole? Do I think it'll end as a buyer's or seller's market? I think it's still going to be a seller's market in the outskirts, but just like closer to a balanced seller's market, not like a batshit crazy seller's market. And I do think that the downtown markets will remain a buyer's market, but will be closer to a buyer's balanced market than it has been like a hardcore buyer's market. That one is more wishful thinking than data-driven. But we'll just have to see. So let's stay tuned. We're going to do one really focusing on market stats after July 4th because that's a big one to watch. But this is filmed right after Memorial Day. So we'll see how this goes. And stay tuned in next week where we're going to be talking about a little bit of price cuts. Thanks for listening to Laricy Live.